Welcome to LUCIA'S Vegan Lifestyle, your show for compassionate living without sacrifice. On this episode, we're talking vegan living for health. Our guests, respectively, are a baker and a doctor, both glowing examples of going vegan to live your best life. And as each of them will show, it is right within reach. I'll talk with Victor and Mika, who are recreating non-vegan favorites as an approach to health at their bakery and in their new cookbook. And Dr. Brooke Goldner talks with me about eliminating processed foods and refined sugars and carbs to reverse chronic illness. When celebrity stylist Mika Altidore was diagnosed with alarming tumors, she did her research and found that the hormones in all the meat-based products she consumed contributed greatly to their growth. So she set out to change her life, to save her life. Her partner, Victor Munoz, who shares Mika's love of food, eventually joined her on this mission, and together they formed Victor and Mika's Bakery, now making their award-winning recipes available to us with Chasing Vegan, Baking Vegan Fun. Victor and Mika, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So we'll talk about your bakery, your cookbook, Chasing Vegan, and of course your journeys, your individual journeys to becoming vegan. You each had kind of your own vegan awakening.
I was no meat eater, like like a lot of people, but like once in a while, I was eating like a chicken or pork or things like that. But eventually, she introduced me in this, so I started searching and getting information about all these things and how healthy can be. So I like it, and I really thank God for this opportunity. They give me to know about this through the love of my life.
Aww. And I did not tell him to say that.
Just to make an extra point, right?
Extra points. Okay, you earned them. You earned them. For health reasons, I wanted to kill my body naturally of tumors that I have. And I just wanted to go the Eastern route, Eastern medicine and holistic, and discovered plants can heal, and dairy and meats and eggs and all of this was contributing to grow my tumors. And so I stopped, and my pain went away, my tumors started to reduce. And so that was my journey.
How long did it take between becoming vegan and opening the bakery? Did you just start cooking?
We both have experience in our households. We had strong women figures in our lives that cooked.
I grew up with baking, and most of the family members been baking. My uncles, my grandma, and this is for generations.
What are your absolute favorite dishes that you have veganized?
Our lasagna and our donuts, because the donuts taste like regular donuts.
Your donut recipe is in this book as well, right?
Yes.
For me, I think the enchiladas is one of the best. In Mexican dishes, you can veganize pretty much everything, or at least is the way I see. Maybe some people, because sometimes we go into the restaurants and they say, can you do this vegan? And they see it as a big deal, so they don't go for it.
Because they use lard, like in the beans, they use lard.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they pre-cook a lot of the dishes. I guess that's why, yeah.
And what's your best seller? What are your customers like the most?
We have a big demand in the savory side. Like, for example, we have empanadas.
Jalapeno and cheddar bread.
We just introduced that. It's amazing.
Victor needs it with garlic, oregano, jalapeno, and then vegan cheddar cheese. It's heaven.
Another one we call bolillos, baguettes, but we make it small. This is mixed with garlic, oregano, and little olive oil.
Nice.
Cinnamon roll, which is in the cookbook.
Sounds amazing. You also have some gluten-free, some raw, and some keto.
There were some people that were gluten-free, and I'm also gluten-free also. So Victor eats mostly gluten-free also. So we wanted to make, there was like a challenge, like, can we make something gluten-free taste good that gluten-free people can't get, like bread, gluten-free sandwich bread and gluten-free donuts and gluten-free cinnamon rolls. Victor made pizza rolls gluten-free. I was like, okay, I'm in heaven. Like, these are so good.
Amazing, because it's very hard. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you use some of the what's called accidentally vegan, like Oreo cookies and Fruity Pebbles.
Yes,
Yeah.
we love using those. Like, oh yes, accidental vegan stuff. So we do gluten-free. I'm not gluten-free. Vegan, but now Oreos has gluten-free Oreos, which is amazing.
Oh,
So
wow.
we use that a lot,
So dangerous.
and they're vegan. It's so cool. We get to give that to our customers. Oreo brownies and Oreo donuts and all of these crazy cool things.
Coming back to the cookbook, what inspired the title, Chasing Vegan?
We're always chasing after something, chasing some goal, some dream. For some of us, it's for not us because we're vegan, but for some other people, there are goals like, I would like to be vegan, so like they're chasing after that.
Sometimes the people, they say, I wish I can get the recipes or the ingredients that you guys make, that you use for the production of this. That way I can get something anytime, you know. So that's how the idea about the Chasing Vegan come with the book.
And it's really sweet of you guys to offer that to people, to be able to have your recipes, especially those of us who can't get down to you. Do you have a favorite in the cookbook that you think people should try?
For me, the donuts is one of the first things that vegan and the cinnamon rolls. Those for me is one of the my favorites.
Delicious. Great. And people can buy the book on Amazon. They can buy the hardcover and or the Kindle version, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you both so much for joining us and for this. I'm so excited to pick out a recipe and then test it in my kitchen. Thank you again so much.
Thank you for having us on your show.
Read details about Mika's vegan path to health and more recipes, including savory dishes, in Chasing Vegan, available on Amazon. One of my very few vices is espresso. A big part of Italian and Italian immigrant culture and social life, it ties me to my roots. So my morning espresso ritual is very important to me. And if you've watched past episodes of Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle and my social media exclusives, you know I love chocolate. While it was quite difficult to select a recipe from Chasing Vegan, as soon as I read the words espresso double chocolate, I was done. Make them with me on the Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle YouTube channel and on IGTV and Facebook Watch at Lucia Vegan Lifestyle. Taking healthy living further, my next guest also went vegan after conventional practices promised a less than optimal quality of life and while obtaining her medical degree. Joining me from California is Dr. Brooke Goldner, board-certified medical doctor, plant-based healer, and author of 3 best-selling books, Goodbye Lupus, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, and Green Smoothie Recipes to Kickstart Your Health and Healing. We'll find out about what Dr. Goldner calls hyper-nourishing and reversing chronic disease with supermarket foods and happiness. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. You're not only a board-certified medical doctor, you're also a patient, and you've dedicated your life to helping others live abundantly healthy lives. What sparked your interest in all of this, from the medical profession to this point where we're meeting you now?
I would say that I was a patient, but I was a patient far before I ever even thought about going into medicine. I always say I wore the patient gown before I wore the white coat. I got sick at a pretty early age, and they diagnosed me with lupus. And lupus is an autoimmune disease. It's a disease where your immune system stops functioning properly, and instead of attacking things like viruses, bacteria, it starts attacking your own organs. And what I also found out in the hospital was I was in stage 4 kidney failure. And the nephrologist tells us that if we don't take really severe action, if we hadn't gone to the hospital, I would be dead within 6 months.
Whoa.
It's interesting. Billions of dollars have been spent in medicines and research into medicines, but the outcomes aren't really much different. Back then it was mostly steroids. And so I took the steroids, high dose steroids. I'm trying to remember, it was like 7 pills a day. And in addition, they wanted me to do experimental treatments using chemotherapy. And finally, after 2 years, I was in remission. But remission for autoimmune is not a cure. It's not, the disease hasn't been reversed. You're not healthy. My blood test showed I had lupus. I still had arthritis, but I'd take a medicine for that. I still had migraines. I'd take a medicine for that. But my kidneys weren't failing. And that was the best we could hope for. So that was my first introduction to to being a patient, really being a patient with Western medicine, is that they just hoping to keep you alive, keep you stable. But you're going to have this chronically, you're going to have this the rest of your life. And you just have to deal with each fire when it comes up. You try to figure out how to put it out. I got sick. I started getting blood clots, which was caused by lupus too. So lupus didn't attack my kidneys the second time. It caused blood clots. So I had mini strokes. It wasn't until when I got the blood clots, I was in medical school. And that's the first time I got really scared, because I actually knew what I had and how devastating it could be. Like that was, it was nice to be in that ignorant state younger. But it is a very scary illness, but thankfully it is not only manageable with medicines, but in my experience, it's reversible. It's all because of my story and what I went through myself.
Do you find that there's a little bit of a rigidity in the medical profession, like, kind of by the books, or is it opening up more towards kind of using diet and natural methods, either as, on their own or as supplements to, let's say, traditional Western medicine?
I think both of what you said is true. I think there's rigidity, and I think it's opening up. I don't think the rigidity is intentional. We've gotten really good at finding things. We're not necessarily good at fixing things yet, because there's a lot to not only eating right, but managing your anxiety and all of the things that comes with it. And I really like holding people's hands and supporting them and helping them get better. They're making you anxious by doing all these tests. Now they want to do this biopsy and this one, but there's no answer once you get the test. They don't have any new treatment that's going to be the answer. So when you hear from somebody else, a patient or somebody else, that, oh, did you know kale can help lupus? And what are you talking about? I spent $300,000 in 20 years of my life to learn how to be a rheumatologist, and you're telling me that you watched something that said kale, right? So for me, I changed my diet my first year of my residency, and I changed it because my husband, who is well-known, his science research is in metabolism, how everyone can have a fast metabolism at any age. And the nutrition, he's fantastic. He's the reason I'm here, right? He married a sick girl who could never have his children to take care of me when I became disabled. Okay, this is what he wanted to do. So now he's stuck growing old with me because I'm healthy. But he changed my diet to help me lose weight for our wedding, because I wanted to. He said I was perfect, but I wanted to. And I got rid of for me, I didn't eat meat, but I ate lots of dairy and eggs and all of it. And so a lot of saturated fat, ate processed junk. Hospital food is the best food to get sick and obese. That's like, you eat hospital food, it's good for business, right? So
looking at it, I'm like,
it's horrible. I started eating tons of raw vegetables and omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed and chia seeds. I started drinking a gallon of water a day. And then what happened was, not only did I lose weight, I went from a size 11 to a 3 in like 3 months at the time, but all my arthritis went away, my blood clots went away, my migraines went away. By the time I got my next set of blood tests, there was no sign of lupus. Kidney function normal. And that was over 15 years ago. And I've had 2 beautiful children. You can see some baby picture there. The 2 beautiful children. I have healthy boys. I had healthy pregnancies. Lupus is deadly for pregnant people oftentimes. I never even had any relapse at all. In 15 years, I've never had a relapse. I have no blood clots. I take no medicines. I have no arthritis, nothing. So when that happened to me as a resident, I wouldn't have come to it any other way, because I'm a classically trained Western medical person. I've done research. So because that happened to me, there had to be something I was missing. And that led to the research that I did to understand, because I'm not one of those people that goes, oh, I ate this and got better, everyone do what I did. That's one of the problems we have in our society now, is everyone who tried a diet and got better starts coaching. Right. But they don't know if they got better because of what they did or in spite of what they did, what worked, what didn't work. They don't know. They're just, and so then there's no, the results are not the same every time. I went back to understand what's the cellular biology of how nutrition affects your immune system. And so what I learned was we'd accidentally created the most anti-inflammatory way of eating. Then we tested it on people to make sure that it worked every time for every person. Then we went public with it. So I've been doing full-time disease reversal for about 12 years. But what we do is very specific because we know exactly which ingredients will stimulate cell repair and anti-inflammatory immunity and which stuff is kind of, not necessarily harmful, but not really helping your recovery. So that's what I try to do to push the science along, is I teach people what I call hyper-nourishment, which is here's what your body needs to repair itself and get your immune system healthy. And when you focus your diet on that, your disease can be reversed even after, for me, it was a dozen years. Some people it's been decades, and they're able to get healthy again. I'm not anti-medicine at all. I still practice medicine, but medicines for me are a tool while I'm helping you recover your health. And that's the part that's been missing in Western medicine, is there's no path to recovery when you're not eating right and managing your lifestyle. It's just about keeping people alive with chronic illness. And that is why they remain chronic and progressive, is because you're doing nothing to reverse the process. What I found is when I hyper-nourish people. So one, I replace the vitamins and minerals, antioxidants. I love using green smoothies for that. Look, I never stop having them. All right. That you fill a blender with greens. I like kale, power greens, spinach, all that stuff. Fill it 75% full of that. Take a handful of flax or chia seeds for your omega-3s, which are essential for anti-inflammatory and also essential for your metabolism and for cellular health. And then people are dehydrated. Your body can't repair itself without hydration. Put water in there, add fruit for flavor, blend it up. Now you have a drink that creates nourishment for cellular repair that your body didn't have before. So hypernourishment allows your body to repair damage. And then what I do, especially in my rapid recovery programs, is I help them with their stress and teach them happiness, right? One thing I learned being sick is you can have a diagnosis and be happy and fulfilled and have purpose and be productive in your life. In fact, you must.
You should,
right?
yeah.
You must, right? So, and would you believe that people who've been sick for decades find within weeks that they have high energy, arthritis goes away, migraines go away. It's incredible how quickly, and it turns out you didn't need a doctor. Your body actually knew what to do all along. It just didn't have the tools.
Oh my God. And this is like, this is the optimal diet even for people who don't have disease,
Yes.
right? Preventative, or even if you're not.
I've been healthy for 15 years, but I still drink this every day. Why? This is the antidote. Are you kidding me? I'm never giving that up. So yes, it is great for preventing illness. It optimizes your immune system. So if it can help somebody who has a weakened or autoimmune disease, somebody whose immune system is not functioning, get to functioning normally, then someone who's not having health problems, it functions optimally. Most of the folks who've stayed with it, if they get a cold, it lasts 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We had someone in our rapid recovery group trying to reverse her lupus who got COVID while in the group, and she had almost no symptoms at all. And she's like, oh my God. And by the end of the group, her lupus labs were negative. So she beat COVID and lupus at the same time. It was the coolest thing ever. She was just so excited, right? But it was all of that combined. We worked on the emotional stuff. We worked on her diet, and she was able to get through all of it. So it's also the best thing for cellular repair in your organs. Most aging comes from organs breaking down, and your skin's one of your best organs, right? It's the most visible. So, if you want to look young and have healthy skin, then one of the best things you can do is hypernourish. Keep your water high, get your nutrition in every day.
I love that term too, hypernourish. It's so, even the word itself makes you feel so healthy and, full of nutrients. I love it.
Gives you tons of energy. People tell me all the time they gave up coffee because they didn't know that when they were tired, it wasn't because they had a coffee deficiency. It was actually because they were malnourished. You can't produce energy without getting the right nutrition and hydration. So yeah, it's wonderful for everybody.
It's amazing. I lucked out kind of because my parents were, before they immigrated to the States, they were rural farmers in southern Italy. So there was always an emphasis on homemade foods and natural foods. And I love chocolate cake, but I will eat a carrot and just say, oh my God, it's so delicious. The flavors of the food from our earth are, they're not only good for us, but they actually are delicious. Do you think it's a matter of people kind of changing? I mean, you said it's all of the things, right? Trauma and fear and a whole bunch of things, but do you think that once people get used to and to appreciating the flavors, that it also helps them
Sure.
stick to it.
People have hijacked their taste buds and their neurotransmitters with drug-like foods, or I call them food-like drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So people who've been eating tons of sugar, right? Now, sweetness is something we naturally will seek out, but the sweetness of an apple is nothing like the sweetness of cake or candy. And so once people have hijacked that system, they often can't taste the plant foods. So you grew up in a very different way, but you know, when I see that 2-year-old that has lupus or kidney failure, and the mom says, oh, all he'll eat is chicken and macaroni and cheese and candy. And I go, what do you mean all he'll eat? Who's feeding this 2-year-old? Like, is he ordering in? What is happening here, right? But what happened is they introduced that to him, not knowing it was going to hurt him. They love him. They didn't mean to hurt him. But now that he's gotten that sense of a high, that he gets drugs instead of food. So when he gets that drug in his system and you hand him a carrot, he throws a temper tantrum. Carrot doesn't taste like anything to him. So, you know, yeah, exactly. So in the beginning, and this is true for adults too, often for the first 2 weeks to a month, they don't even really taste it. It's torture. In the beginning, they just have to do it even though they don't desire it. And cravings are very high in the first few weeks. Most people quit after 2 weeks because cravings actually increase after 2 weeks. And people expect cravings to get better. Like, I've been doing this 2 weeks and all I can think about is cake and chicken. They quit. Right? Where that's why I work with them every day, because I know when they're standing on that ledge, I got to talk them back every time. Right. But after about 28 days, the neurochemistry starts to change and people start to crave the good stuff, but you have to go without the toxic stuff for at least that long for that to recalibrate. Otherwise, it's like a cocaine addict where they say, you know, they're tired and you hand them coffee and they go, this isn't going to work. Coffee is nothing like cocaine. Right. So that's how people are functioning on a daily basis with food. So when you start out with the fresh stuff, you were programmed differently. You got to eat that good stuff from the farm and your taste buds were programmed the right way. I was like that with my kids. They were raw vegan the first year of life. They never had any sugar or anything like that. So they didn't try sugar the first time till they were older than 2. But at that point, they were so programmed that even now, if they do have something that's, you know, vegan, but has sugar in it, they can't eat that much because it's like overload.
Me too.
Too much. It's too much, you know. And when you're healthy, you can tolerate a little bit of inflammation. I can eat a vegan donut if I want to, but after a couple bites, I'm like, it's too much. But I've reprogrammed myself. Yeah. So in the beginning, it does take motivation and focus because they don't usually like it. They don't notice that there's a flavor to broccoli until like a month passes. Before that, it tastes like plastic. They don't even taste it.
I get so excited. I'm like, if you hand me like I said, I love chocolate cake, especially being a vegan. And like for so many years, the dessert was always fruit. And I'm like, no, I want cake like everyone else. Right now we have it all. But, you know, if you present a plate of greens to me, I get so excited.
See, you need someone who's easy to work with. I'm the same way. I love salad, but I was a vegetarian growing up. That meant that all meat was replaced by eggs and dairy, which is not healthy anyway. And that's very different from a plant-based diet where you're eliminating that. But there is a difference between a plant-based diet and a hyper-nourishing diet. A hyper-nourishing plant-based diet is optimal, where if you do eat cooked food, it's, you know, your grains and beans or whatever else you want to eat, but you're getting your nourishment every day from the raw foods. And like I said, if you don't like salad, the smoothies are easy. And that's why I love the smoothies, is because a lot of people see a salad and they just want to cry. They hate it. But if you give them a smoothie that tastes like pineapple and mango, they'll drink the greens, no problem. And so that's helped me be really successful at converting people over to eating healthy.
I love also that you do this using supermarket food. So it's not an elitist diet, but it's accessible to people of all strata.
Yeah, I teach this protocol online for free. I don't hold anything back because I don't want it to be that somebody can't get better because they didn't have the money to buy a book. You know what I mean? So and the book is cheap, but you know what I mean? I put it out there because I want everyone to have the information. So I teach it online for free. That's the whole key. Is I'm not selling supplements. I'm not trying to get people, you know, to buy any special stuff. I'm saying you can go to the supermarket, and if you go to the produce section, if you get your flax and chia seeds, if you make sure you're drinking water, you're going to start to improve the health of your body. And then while you're doing that, start weaning yourself off the stuff that makes you sick, the meat, the dairy, the sugars, right? Some can't wean. I have published cases in reversing end-stage kidney failure, getting people off the transplant list using nutrition. Those people can't play around. Every day is some kidney lost. So they have to do a very strict program. But for most people, they can kind of add what they're missing and work their way there and get there. And yes, at the supermarket.
Because that's also why I created this show, because I want people to have veganism accessible to them, whether they're ultra rich celebrities or people who do their shopping at the corner bodega and are like, vegan, do you see around me, you know? So I love that that's so beautiful that you do that.
The reason I'm here right now, feeling good and able to do this, is because of the action I took on my diet. So yeah, this is what I live to talk about any chance I get. It's why I have my classes online for free, 5 hours, but I teach the science and how to understand it as a lay person. I'm first born in America. My mom is an immigrant. I've always learned how to take information and make it accessible to people, help them understand, because that empowers people. We need to give people back the power that you can go to the supermarket, you can take care of yourself, and you can get your health back. You're the one that has to do it. My classes, goodbyelupus.com, if they go to the front page, there's free gifts. My classes are free on a rolling basis. So I just ended around, and they're cheap to buy, and then I do them free on a rolling basis, actually as a psychological way to pressure people, right? Because if it's, oh, I'll watch it next time, I'll say, this week, watch the classes. And at the end of the class, I'm doing 3 Q&As. I do live Q&As with the public. We have people from all over the world show up to answer the questions and help them personally get better. I do it all for free.
Thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm going to take the class online. You might get a call from me for a one-on-one just to get me in better shape. Thank you again so much, Doctor.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me today.
Find out more about Dr. Goldner's programs and books at goodbyelupus.com and get free smoothie recipes at smoothieshred.com. Join me on the Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle TikTok to make Dr. Goldner's favorite smoothie. Watch LVL to live your best vegan life. Subscribe to the Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle YouTube channel to catch up on previous episodes, and follow on social media for exclusives and to find out what's airing next. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Lucia's Vegan Lifestyle, your show for compassionate living without sacrifice. I'm Lucia, I'm vegan, and this is my lifestyle.